Hello everyone and welcome to Lesson 2.4A. I've entitled this video, Religion and Trade. This video is going to cover pages 49 to 51. Religion and Trade. The Europeans who explored and settled in North America in the 1500s sought wealth. They also wanted to spread their Christian faith. The first to arrive were Roman Catholics, the only Christian church in the western part of Europe at that time. Not long after Columbus made his first voyage across the Atlantic, however, religious conflict shook Europe. New rivalries based on religious beliefs emerged. And now we can answer question number 1. What were the 3 G's that led Europeans to explore and settle North America in the 1500s? We've talked about this before. It was God, gold, and glory. Luther and the Reformation. In 1517, a German priest named Martin Luther nailed a list of complaints on the door of a local Catholic church, questioning the power and authority of Catholic leaders, including the Pope, the head of the Catholic Church. Luther hoped to spark reform within the church, but Pope Leo X rejected his ideas. Others agreed with Luther. His ideas helped launch a movement called the Reformation, or the Protestant Reformation. The movement led to a new form of Christianity called Protestantism. Among the differences between Protestants and Catholics was that Protestants did not accept the leadership of the Pope. The Reformation led to widespread conflict within and between the nations of Europe. Question number 2. What was Martin Luther complaining about when he began the Protestant Reformation? He was complaining about the power and authority that had been given by to the Catholic leaders, including the Pope. So he was nailing up those complaints on these letters, and it was making people very uncomfortable in some places. Others agreed with him, however. Question 3. What became the biggest difference between the Protestants and the Catholics at that time in history? Well, the biggest difference was that Protestants did not accept the leadership of the Pope, and the Catholics stood firm with the Pope. Religious rivalries. In the 1500s, England's monarchs, King Henry VIII, and later his daughter, Queen Elizabeth I, made that country Protestant. Spain's Catholic king, Philip, objected to that change and made plans to invade England. In May 1588, Philip sent an Armada, or war fleet, of 132 ships to England. With 30,000 troops and more than 2,000 guns, the Spanish Armada was the mightiest naval force in the world. Yet the smaller, faster English ships quickly gained the upper hand. The defeat of Spain's Armada marked the end of Spanish control of the seas. Now the way was clear for the English to start colonies in North America. Question number 4. What religion did King Henry VIII and Queen Elizabeth I make the country of England? Protestant. Question 5. Which Catholic country did not like the change in England's religion to make it Protestant and made plans to invade England? Spain. Question 6. What does the word Armada mean? An Armada is a war fleet, so it's a grouping of a lot of ships with the purpose of fighting. Question number 7. Which country had the mightiest naval force in the world in May of 1588? That was Spain. Question 8. How are the English ships different than the Spanish Armada? The English ships were smaller, and yet that made them faster. Question number 9. Why was the defeat of the Spanish Armada an important event in our American history? Well, when the Spanish lost this battle, this major battle between the English and the Spanish, it freed the English to then send people to the New World, or what we would call North America. And of course, our ancestry can be traced back to this huge event. In the Americas, Catholics from Spain and France worked to spread their faith among the Native Americans. The Spanish settled in the southwestern and southeastern regions of North America, and the French settled in the northeast. Dutch and English Protestants set up colonies along the Atlantic coast between the French and the Spanish settlements. Religious differences contributed to the rivalries between these settlements. And now we can answer question 11 through 14, which says, fill out the following chart that shows where the European powers settled in North America. So we're looking for the regions. So let's start with Spain. Spain settled in the southwestern and southeastern regions of North America. Next, France. France settled in the northeast. And then we have the Netherlands and the English, or the Dutch and the English. And they set up colonies along the Atlantic coast between the French and the Spanish. And we see a map here that can kind of show that. Search for Northwest Passage. In the 1500s and early 1600s, England, France, and the Netherlands sent explorers to map the coast of North America and later establish trade in colonies. Explorers also hoped to discover a northwest passage to Asia, a direct water route through the Americas. England sent John Cabot, an Italian, to look for a northern sea route to Asia in 1497. Cabot probably landed on the coast of present-day Newfoundland. In 1524, France hired another Italian, Giovanni di Verrazzano, to look for a northern route. Verrazzano explored the coast of North America from present-day Nova Scotia south to the Carolinas. In 1535, French explorer Jacques Cartier sailed along the St. Lawrence River, hoping it would lead to the Pacific. Cartier did not make it to the Pacific, but he discovered a mountain peak that he named Mont Royal, which means Royal Mountain. This is the site of the present-day city of Montreal. You can see how they came up with that name. And now we can answer question number 15. England, France, and the Netherlands all sent explorers to North America in search of the Northwest Passage. What were they hoping the Northwest Passage was? A direct water route through the Americas. They wanted to be able to send their ships through North America and get to the Pacific Ocean. They didn't want to have to go around, all the way around South America. The Netherlands also wanted to find a passage through the Americas. The Dutch hired English sea explorer and navigator Henry Hudson to look for it. In 1609, he discovered the river that now bears his name, the Hudson River. In his ship, the Half Moon, Hudson sailed north on the Hudson River as far as the site of present-day Albany, New York. Deciding that he had not found a passage to India, he turned back. The following year, England sent Hudson to try again. On this trip, Hudson discovered a huge bay, now called, yep, you guessed it, Hudson Bay. Thinking he had reached the Pacific, Hudson spent months looking for an outlet. His crew became impatient and rebelled. They sent Hudson, his son, and a few sailors adrift in a small boat, never to be seen again. And here we see a little picture of that. How sad. Poor Mr. Hudson faces the consequences of a crew that was not pleased with what was happening. Yikes. A global exchange. As European explorers came to the Americas seeking new trade and wealth, they brought together parts of the world that previously had not been in contact. Suddenly, the continents of Europe, Asia, and Africa were exchanging goods, ideas, and even diseases with the Americas. This transfer is called the Columbian Exchange after Christopher Columbus. And now we can answer question 16. What is the Columbian Exchange? The Columbian Exchange was the transfer of goods and ideas and diseases from and to the Old World to the New World. So some things left Europe and Africa and went to North America, and then some things left North America and went to Europe and Africa. And you can see a map here that kind of shows that. There was this transfer of a lot of things. It opened up the world and made it more global than ever before. This exchange would have far-reaching effects. New food items from the Americas, such as corn, potatoes, and beans, would lead to new diets and increased populations in other parts of the world. The horse, an animal brought to the Americas from the Eastern Hemisphere, greatly changed the lives of Native Americans on the North American plains. Some changes were less positive. Native Americans had never been exposed to many diseases from the East. These new diseases are thought to have killed millions of Native Americans. Question 12. How did the Columbian Exchange affect the diets of the world? Well, places in the world that had never seen it before were now beginning to eat corn and potatoes and beans, and so this was able to feed more people, so it helped keep people from starving. Question number 13. How did the Columbian Exchange have a positive effect on the lives of the Native Americans on the North American plains? Well, they were introduced to the horse, and the horse was used by the Native Americans or American Indians to hunt and to travel, and so they really appreciated the use of the horse. Question 14. How did the Columbian Exchange have a negative effect on the lives of the Native Americans on the North American plains? Well, the biggest one clearly were the diseases that just wiped out millions of Native Americans. Their bodies had not built up antibodies to fight these because, such as smallpox and influenza, they had never been in contact with those, and so their bodies just couldn't resist these diseases. And here we see sort of a summary of the Columbian Exchange. At this time, if you'd like to, feel free to pause the video so you can kind of read through this. It kind of talks about what the Columbian Exchange was, how corn was influential in the Columbian Exchange, wheat and rice, and it kind of shows the transfer from the Americas to the continents of Asia and Africa and vice versa. And then it also talks about sugar, cows, and pigs. If you don't want to pause the video at this time, let's move on. Well, thank you so much for watching. Before we go, of course, we have a meme or a joke, and this is celebrating Christopher Columbus, and it says, I plan on celebrating Columbus Day by kicking in my neighbor's door, eating his food, and claiming the house as mine. Ooh. All right, thank you so much for watching, and have a nice day.